All right, so this is another table you can see right here on ingredients and the percentage they should be. So these are fish meal, meat meals, soya bean meals, wheat flour, dry milk, soya bean meal, bean oil, bean meal, and so on and so forth. So you can have different mixture of different ingredients, and the protein, the crude protein quantity will differ. So we have let's move on to the next module, which is the cultivation of some live food. And what are live foods in general? Live foods, you know this is basically a word you can break into two: live and food. That is living food, right? This food are living. They are not dead, they are not formulated. They are like, you can talk about cockroach is living. You can talk about ant is living. So these are live food that is being fed to the fish. So the example I made is not directly cockroach or ant. That's just an example, but I'm going to explain what live food means to you right away. Okay, so unlike manufactured feed or manufactured food, live food is still needed, as a very, very needed. In addition to adding a welcome change to your feed routine for your fish, you have to introduce a lot of nutrient that may be lacking in manufactured food. And live food needs to be approached with a bit of caution. You should absolutely be sure that the live food you are providing for your fish is fresh without any sign of decay or infection. When we are talking about decay or infection, we are talking about live food. I said living animals. Living animals, we can talk about maggots, we can talk about algae, we can talk about live food such as just minute living organisms that the fish can feed on, that has complete nutrient of protein and all body nutrients, just like the fish meal that they can feed on. So you must ensure that this live food has no sign of decay or infection when you want to use it. Don't worry, we're going to be talking about how to kosher some kind of selected live food that we have placed for you here. And if you do not want your fish to show any sign of diseases. That's why you must be careful around infections and these decay signs in the fish. So if you have cultured the live food yourself in a healthy environment, then there is no fear of being maybe it's gonna be infected, or maybe it's gonna be affected, or it's gonna decay, because you personally, you can see what you are doing. You've cultured it yourself. You've ensured to put out the precautions and all. So planktons are, let's talk about planktons now. Planktons are minute floating aquatic plants or animal. One thing about planktons are they are divided into two. We have the phytoplanktons, which are plants, that planktons got it from plants, while the zooplanktons are animals. They are animal planktons. Phytoplanktons are plant planktons, while zooplanktons are animal planktons. And what are these phytoplanktons or zooplanktons? These are also live food. Just like we talked about the algae. Algae are living plants, right? Plants are living. Algae, we talk about zooplanktons, which are like the mosquito larvae that you see. So they are good source of nutrition for the fish. They are very good source of nutrition for the fish. When we talk about the trophic level in fish feeding, we talk about from the lowest to the highest, then to the next highest, to the next highest, like that. So when the zooplankton, they feed on the phytoplankton, the next in line may be um the ant may feed on the zooplankton, which is the mosquito larva. Then the next one will feed on the ant. Maybe the let's talk about the fish feed on ants now. Then what next do you think will feed on the fish? You have the bird can feed on the fish. Then animals can feed on bird, humans can feed on bird, just like that, like that, like that. So these planktons are very good source of nutrition for the fish, and planktons can be trapped or netted from ponds for feeding. You have the tubifex worms. They are hot favorites among a large number of fish. You see, even fish has their own favorites. You have the tubifex worm. The image is not here, but you can check this up later on the internet. They are unfortunately also known to carry disease and are very fatty, which means that tubifex only should be used once in a while. Can you see that? Once in a while, rinsing out live food thoroughly before introducing it to water will greatly help reduce the chance of carrying the diseases into your aquarium or pond or wherever you are using. But this method is naturally only effective for the germs outside the body. You know, when we are talking about precautions now, you want to ensure that, okay, when you are introducing your live feed, there's no disease being transferred. You have to be able to check, to rinse them properly. And if the germs is outside the body, this will work. But if it's inside the body, it may be a disaster to your feed. So these are things that you really need to know. Particularly, you see, I paid more attention to explaining this live food here in this video, because in the next one I may not be able to take so much time to explain this again. So live food, a living food, they are microscopic, some are not really microscopic, some are, they are very minute, very small animals. So let's move on to the next slide.